Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Nature Angel. So if you're new, hello. If you are returning, hello. I'm so happy that you are all here and I'm glad that you are watching this video. So I don't want to waste your time. Let me get right into it. If you see my previous videos, I'm always talking about how I want
data when I'm going to a child find meeting.
I'm like, bring me the data, bring me the data. But how do you do that? I don't think I've ever explained how, and that is what this video is about. It's about how we should track students' progress in the school. And I got the idea for this video from this comment right here, and I thought this is a really good idea. So if that interests you, then definitely keep watching because we will get into it. Really quick, just to give some background, usually before bringing a child to the child find meeting so that we can test the kid and see if we will be able to find them eligible for special education services, what we like to do is have the kids go through interventions, okay? And I may have mentioned in some of my other videos that sometimes, depending where you're at, you will have schools that the intervention team comes back with all this data and they're like, look at all these graphs, look at all these charts, and I have all these numbers and we have baseline, all this stuff, right? And then you have other schools where they're like, yeah, like we said before, the kid is having problems. So anyway, test them. And you're like, well, where's the data? Where is it? What we need is an intervention, okay? If we are going to try to test the kid, this is what I would have liked to see before we even decide to test the kid. First, what intervention is being done, okay? And in order to do that, we need an intervention. So intervention can range from reading tasks, math tasks, it could be a behavioral thing. It could be whatever you need it to be, but you're going to put something in place and you're gonna monitor it. We wanna find what we wanna work on. So if we're doing math, what in math? What are we focused on? What do we wanna work on in math, okay? And we're going to track and monitor any progress that's being made. So to help this be easier to understand, let me just give an example. So for this video, let's say we're going to have a third grade student and they are struggling with reading fluency. So we want an intervention that's going to help the student with reading fluency. Okay, that's the whole issue that we're going to focus on. First thing we need to do for the intervention is get baseline data. So for this intervention, since we were doing reading fluency, we are going to see how many words can a student read, this third grade student that we have, how many words can they read in 2 minutes? Let's do 3 separate baseline tests, okay? So let's say they have passage 1, passage 2, passage 3. And we wanna see how many words they are reading in those 2 minutes, okay? And we're gonna keep track of it, and we wanna make sure that the words they are reading are correct, and those are the words that we're gonna count, okay? So after this third grade student finishes all 3 for passage 1, so let's say for passage 1, this student read 95 words correctly in 2 minutes. Then for passage 2, let's say they read 100 words correctly in 2 minutes, and passage 3, let's say that they read 105 words correct in 2 minutes. So averaging out about 100 words correct every 2 minutes. So now that we have this baseline data, okay, so this is the start of it. And again, I am trying to be in the mind and I'm playing the role kind of what I would expect the intervention team to do before they bring it to us as a school psychologist. Anyway, let's get back to this. So the next step would be, we need to set a realistic goal. So this student on average is reading about 100 words every 2 minutes, right? So what is a realistic goal? Let's go with, by the end of 6 weeks after we put this intervention in place for reading fluency, we want the student to reach 120 words correct every 2 minutes. That would be a 20% increase, and we want to see this over the course of 6 weeks. So over the course of 6 weeks, we are going to be working on this intervention to try to increase the students' word fluency, and we want to see them go from an average of 100 every 2 minutes to 120. So now it's time for the actual intervention that's going to take place over the course of 6 weeks. In this intervention, remember, we had the student read 3 passages, right? We want to make sure that what we are doing and what we are working on is the same. So the student is going to work on those same 3 passages that they read in baseline over the course of these 6 weeks. You want to see, can they increase their reading fluency skills? And I think this is where a lot of things can get messed up. I know we've had people from the intervention teams come in before, and they were saying the student had no progress or they went down, and when we looked at what they were doing, each week was something different, or they added on different things when they never even got to where they were supposed to on week 1. So the important thing with this reading fluency intervention that we are doing in this hypothetical scenario is that the student is reading the exact same 3 passages that they read during baseline. Okay? Keep that in mind. If the student makes a mistake, we will correct any mistake that they make, because it is also the words they read correctly, not just the words they read in 2 minutes, but the words they read correctly in 2 minutes. So I'm just gonna make up some hypothetical scores over the course of 6 weeks. So let's say it is week 1. The student is at 102 words, and then we go to week 2. Now they're at 107 words. Week 3, 111 words. Week 4, they get to 113. Week 5, they're at 117. And then week 6, they made it to 120 words per 2 minutes, and they were all correct. So that is a 20% increase, and that is what we wanted to see. We wanted them to increase by 20% from baseline up to the end of week 6 during this intervention. Obviously, the example I gave and the numbers I gave were very clear cut because I just wanted to make this simple to understand. The student will not always reach the goal, and the goal may not always be so clear cut, and you just see the progress straight through over time. But in this scenario where the kid reached the 120 words for 2 minutes, they reach their goal. When they come to the child find meeting or the eligibility meeting to see if we even need to test and assess the student, it wouldn't look like it because they showed that they can make progress. And even if they are not at grade level, whatever that is, they are demonstrating that with some help in some interventions, they are able to learn and they are able to make progress. So we should not assess the student. That does not mean that we cannot continue with the interventions or put certain things in place, but we should not need to test the kid for special education services because they are showing that they have the ability to learn these things. Now, backing up a little bit, giving more real life situations that you might encounter. Like I said, I gave it very clear cut where the student was progressing each week. Let's say that the student's progressing and it's like week 3, they're at 113 words, but then you get to like the next week and they drop down and then they go back up. Well, that could be from a variety of things, right? I mean, something may have happened. Maybe they didn't get sleep. Maybe they didn't eat enough. Maybe there's something going on in the home life. You never know. If they keep on progressing though after that, you could just see it as like, okay, like something just happened. And it could have been anything, but they're continuing to make progress. So as a team, you guys can assess that and interpret that how you guys think you should, but that's how I would interpret it personally. If the student is just dropping lower or not making any progress at all, now that would be a reason to then say, okay, let's dive deeper. Maybe the student is in need of special education services. Let's do those assessments. Let's bring out the psych and the social worker and speech or whatever else is needed. That would be a reason to do that. If during the intervention the scores are scattered or going downhill, something like that. But I hope this all makes sense, and I hope that I explained it really well because I know this can get really tricky and murky and sometimes it's hard to understand. So I just wanted to try to give a really like clear cut example, obviously in the workday and in the field, lots of the time it is not that clear cut. Every once in a while you might get one where they do have scores like the example that I gave, and then it's wonderful. You're like, wow, it's literally like when I was learning in school. But for the most part, no, it's not like that. And you know, then as a team, you guys decide what you're gonna do. But this is what I mean whenever I say, let's do interventions and see if they made progress. This is what I want to be done before they try to come and find a child eligible for special education services. Because we do not want to say a child or a student needs special education services when really they just needed interventions. It'll be functioning completely on grade level after those interventions, or maybe not on grade level, but to the best of their ability and making progress. So that was my little rant. I hope that you enjoyed. And I really do like when you guys give the ideas for videos in the comments, because I was blanking, like I said, in the summer. I'm just kind of in relaxation mode, so it's harder for me to think of video ideas. So when I see a comment like, oh, you should do this, I'm like, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna do that. It's fun because they're usually things that I don't even think of. So I really like when you guys do that. So feel free to leave video ideas down below so that I can have even more ideas and do sit down videos like this. Maybe I'll try to do some vlogs when I start back at the school, but that'll still be for a couple more weeks. So
I'm not gonna rush my summer break.
But I hope you guys enjoyed. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye guys.